$112,000 Acura Integra. Now, why did it sell for $112,000? It's because everyone wants them because they're a dope ass car. But what do you do if you're not rich? You want a dope ass car, right? Well, luckily there are still some dope ass JDM cars which do not cost 5 times the sticker price, and they're actually really underrated. So we're going to take a look at those cars and see which ones are worth buying. And make sure you stick around until the end because the last car is actually a smoking deal, baby. So stick around for that. Now, because we're talking underrated cars, that's going to be something that nobody knows about. And that's why I put on this list the 4th Gen Honda Prelude. Now this bad boy had a 2.2 liter inline 4-cylinder which cranked out 187 horsepower and 153 pound-feet of torque. This power was sent from the front engine to the front wheels, of course, because it's a Honda, and it weighed about 2,800 pounds. The best thing about this car is how good they look. It's basically just a Honda Civic but better looking, and the Honda Civic is already a really tunable car that you can do anything with, and so you take this, make it better looking, boom, you got a better Civic. I really don't know why they're so underrated. Now, since we're talking underrated, you're probably looking for that old car from the past. It's still dope as f***, but nobody knows about. Well, that car actually exists. I'm talking the 280Z. Just kidding. Those are worth $1 million now. I'm talking about the FBR7. Now the GSL SE trim of this bad boy came with a 1.3 liter 2-rotor 13B engine which cranked out 135 horsepower and 133 foot-pounds of torque. So this is maybe obvious, but it is a front engine rear-wheel drive car, and the GSL SE actually came with a limited slip differential and a 5-speed manny-tranny. Now they did make nearly 500,000 of these cars, so it kind of makes sense that they're not that expensive. But I think once time takes its toll and there gets less and less good ones, you're going to see these cars shoot up in value because they're just so sick. It's like the 280Z, and even if you don't want the rotary, you can still swap it. It's a perfect platform for basically any build. But maybe you want something a bit newer, maybe that you could even daily. Well, look no further than the Acura TSX. Now this sucker came with a 2.4 liter K-Series engine. Now that bangin' inline 4 cranked out 205 horsepower and 164 foot-pounds of torque. It weighed around 3,300 pounds, which is not bad for a sedan like this car. Now the reason this car is on the list is because, well, you don't see them all that much, driven by enthusiasts at least, but they're one of the best looking sedans I can even think of from this era and in this price range of about $10,000. And they have a K-Series with a 6-speed manual attached. It doesn't get much better than that, apart from the fact that it is wrong-wheel drive, but we'll gloss over that for this video. But maybe you're sick of Hondas, maybe you're sick of front-wheel drive and shit like that. Maybe you want something all-wheel drive so you can dominate any terrain. Well, that's why on this list video that you're watching on the internet, that you clicked on and now you're watching on the internet, I put the Subaru Legacy 2.5 GT Spec B. Now this bad boy weighs in at 3,400 pounds, which is nearly as light as the Honda, but it's got all-wheel drive and a freaking turbo. When they made this car, they basically took an STI and said, you know, we should put this in a sedan. And then they took out the engine, the EJ255, baby, and then they put that shit in this car. So you get a 2.5 liter flat 4 that makes 2,500 horsepower, 250 horsepower, and 250 foot-pounds of torque. Now that is 50 more horsepower than the Honda, and 100 nearly foot-pounds of torque more, and you get a turbo. This thing is fucking sick, man. And in addition to all this, you get a sick hood scoop. But maybe you don't like 4 doors. Maybe you say, I don't need 4 doors. I don't have more whores. Well, that's why I'm going to tell you about a little car that you might be surprised exists, and that is the 3rd generation MR2. Now, you probably saw this car before and you just thought it was a Cockster. I mean, I cannot blame you for that. So you probably just saw that and you were like, oh, Cockster. And you just didn't even realize it was a different car. But it is. It is a real life car, and it is the final generation of the MR2. Now this thing is as ugly as the Porsche, but it's also as fast. The engine is a 1.8 liter inline 4-cylinder which cranks out 138 horsepower and 126 foot-pounds of torque, which is better power to weight than a Miata. That's because it weighed in at only 2,200 pounds, which is the lightest MR2, the last one, and a convertible, and it's still the lightest? I don't understand it. But it works, okay? This is the best MR2. This is the fastest, lightest, most powerful MR2. Everyone's always going on about the first and the second gen MR2. Oh, it's so cool, man. Yeah, whatever. I'll sit in this car going a million around a corner because it's lighter. Now you should know that this car is going to be a ton of fun just because it is right-wheel drive, and if you're looking for other cars that are right-wheel drive, aka rear-wheel drive, which you should be looking for, then you should check out this video because I have some sick cars that are all rear-wheel drive because it's the best wheel drive and it's the most fun. And if you want a cool car, you get rear-wheel drive, man. You don't get no front-wheel drive. You don't get nothing like, no, rear-wheel drive. That's where it's at, all right? So go look at it. So go check it out.